Rosh, Boker or Modim Simcha, Masechet Ketubot Daf Bet Amud Aleph 102A1. Tashema, we're trying to bring a proof now, right, to Rabbi Yohanan. Okay, we're in Tashema. So this is talking about 2, 4, 5 lines down. We just finished by speaking about the concept of there are words which are niknim ba'amida. Niknim ba'amida means, for example, if I'm going to tell you how much money are you going to give to your son, and you say, okay, I'm going to give my son to get married $10,000, and then you go to the other one, no, how much are you going to give to your daughter? I'm going to give $10,000 for my, for my daughter, whatever it is. Even though there's no form of acquisition, there's no shtarot, there's no documents, it's already given. They are acquired by saying it. Now, there's a famous, I think if it's a Ran, if I remember correctly, the reason why is because when a person comes and he gives to his child something for their wedding, he loves his children so much that is the acquisition. That is that he already gave it over. Okay? Yeah, it's like another that he gave it over. Okay? No, but it's not always like that. Because if I just come and I say, I'm going to give you $1 million and then I don't give it, right? There's no, you understand? It's not nice, but it's not, you understand, but I'm not obligated anything. Tashema, so this is where we're starting today. Tashema, we're learning in a Braita. Katav lekohen shani chayav lecha 5 slaim. Imagine right now a person is talking about Pidyon Ben. And he writes down, I'm obligated to give you 5 slaim, which is Pidyon Ben. Chayav liteno 5 slaim ubnoim badui. So therefore, even after he gave it to him, his son is still not going to be, right, redeemed. Why? Because it sounds like that he was obligating himself like a chov to the Kohen, and not because he was doing Pidyon Ben. And therefore, the 5 slaim that he gave to the Kohen cannot be used as Pidyon Ben. So says the Gemara, Shane Hatam, it's different over there, the Meshubal la Midoraita, because there it's going to be Meshubal to the Kohen Mia Torah, which means that since Ashtar is going to help to obligate, it's not because of a Hoda'an Achov, but rather it's a Shtarit Chayvut. So therefore, the Chayvut is going to help through a Shtar, and therefore he comes and he says, nothing to do with the Machloke between Rabbi Yochanan and Shakish. So says the Gemara, Yachiv, so am I Katav? So then why did he write a document? You don't have to write a document, okay? You understand what happens now? Yeah. You don't have to come and start writing a document
for your son.
Okay, for your son to obligate him to 5 slaim. You don't have to do that. So says the Gemara.
Is it because it's your son, or is it because you're talking about wedding?
So says the Gemara. So why did he write a document? And says the Gemara, meaning this guy, when he wrote a document for the Pidyon Ben, he didn't write to obligate himself to Pidyon Ben. He's obligated in the Pidyon Ben whether he likes it or not. He wrote it to choose which Kohen, meaning if a Kohen's going to come and tell him, I want to do the Pidyon Ben, I already have a Kohen. I wrote to him the document. You understand? So says Gemara, so why is the son not redeemed then? He wrote it only just to specify which Kohen he's going to use. He's not, so why wouldn't he be a good Pidyon Ben then? So answers the Gemara, kedula like ula. Daman ula says ula. The Torah is padui lechshiten. Right? What does that mean? The boy is going to be redeemed when he actually gives the 5 slaim to the Kohen. So why do they say that the beno eno padui, that it's not going to be redeemed? Because just in case they're going to make a gzera, maybe they're going to start saying that you could redeem with documents. Meaning they didn't want to say these things, that you could start redeeming with documents. So because of that, they just went and they said that it's going to be not a good pidyon, even though technically speaking, when he gives the money, it will be a good pidyon. So Amar Rava comes and he says, Ketanai, it's actually a machlok Ketanai. When you have an arev that comes, that his name is on the death document after the signatures, meaning after the witnesses came and they signed, they added that Mr. Ploni, Mr. So-and-so, is an arev. Remember, an arev is a guarantor. So you have the document, you have the signatures, and after the signatures, you have Mr. So-and-so as the guarantor. So says the Gemara, he's going to collect from properties which are b'nechorim. Right? There was a story like this that came in front of Rabbi Yishmael, and he said, that he could collect even from nechasim and nechorim. So Amarlo ben Anas said, ben Anas, he cannot collect not from nechasim and nechorim or not from nechasim and nechorim. He cannot collect from anything. So Amarlo, he told him, Lama, why? Amarlo, he told him, imagine right now somebody is coming and he's malveh, his friend, right? And he starts coming, that means the malveh comes and he starts strangling the guy in the shuk. And he says, you know what, Hanachlo, leave him. I'm going to give it to him. I'm going to give you the money. Patur, he's going to be patur. He didn't do that. That means he didn't lend him because of that. You understand what happened? Mr. A lends Mr. B money. He doesn't pay him back. All of a sudden, you come in the shuk and you see that Mr. A is strangling Mr. B. Say, oh, well, what are you doing? No, I lent him money and he's not paying me back. You know what? I'll be the guarantor. I'll pay him. You don't have to pay him. Even though the guy let it go of him. And in Ki'ilu, that you don't have to pay him. Why? Because when you did the loan, it was never your intention to be the guarantor. So for right now, you just did it just to get
did the loan to Mr. B.
Exactly. It was not your intention. You were never there. You were never part of the story. You only came in just to save the guy's life from strangulation. But it wasn't because of it. So because of that, you're going to be patur. So the Rabbi Yochanan. So why don't we just say Rabbi Yochanan holds like a Rishman and the Shakish holds like Ben Anas? Which means, do we say that? That means, right, that basically Rabbi Yochanan comes and he says that a document which is not signed, right, which is given to the Malveh in front of witnesses is obligating. And that's why he says it's exactly like Rabbi Ishmael, right? But it's Shtar Hoda. And the Shakish says no. So says the Gemara, according to Ben Anas, everybody, whether it's Rabbi Yochanan or Shakish, they both agree that if it's not going to be signed, it's nothing. Because Ben Anas says that even by an Arev, such a document does not help. So therefore, it does not help such a document. However, though, Bet Amubet 102b, Kiplige, when is a machloket according to Rabbi Ishmael? Right? Why? Rabbi Yochanan holds like Rabbi Ishmael. Right? Why? Because Rabbi Yochanan says that even if it's not going to be signed, it's still going to be mechayev. It's still going to be a good document. Shaki says, when is Rabbi Ishmael only saying it over there? Ella, right? Ella the sheyach le shibudu doraita. There's going to be a shibudu doraita in words. Aval hacha, but in our case, lo sheyach shibudu doraita. There's no shibudu doraita. So since there's no shibudu doraita, that's why he says it's not the same case. What are you comparing it? Which means that according to everybody, it could be okay. So Gufa Amar Rav Gidal Amar Rav says Rav Gidal name of Rav. כמה נתנו לך וכך וכך, כמה נתנו ביתך כך וכך, ועמדו ביקשו קנו, הן הדברים המנים במהירה. So he says, 1 second. What did we spoke about before? If you remember, we started the daf today and we finished it off last night, just on the top of the daf, that we said, if you have a man, he comes and he says, there you ask him, how much are you going to give to your son when he gets married? $10,000. You go to the father of the bride, how much are you going to give to your daughter when she gets married? $10,000. Even though there's no acquisitions, there's no documents, there's no nothing, it's acquired with words. Why? Because these are the words which are acquired. These are the things which are acquired with words. So Amar Rav says, Mistabra means to the Rav, it's actually Mistaber, the words of Rav, Bebito Na'ara, when the daughter is a Na'ara. Kamati Hanal Yadeh, because then he gets a Hana'ah, right, in this case. Right? Why? Because at the end of the day, he gets the money of the Kiddushin. So ever since he gets the money of the Kiddushin, he's going to come and he's going to give money as well. But we'll get it, that the money doesn't go to him, it goes to her. Lo, it doesn't make sense. Because why would he give her money? He doesn't get anything in return. Meaning usually there's like a return, there's something here. Here, he's not getting anything in return, so why would he give anything? So Ve'elokim Amar Rav, but he makes a swear in the name of Rav, he comes and he says, Afilu we'll get it, even we'll get it. Because if so, you're going to ask, Avia Ben, what about Avia Ben? The father of the Khatan, what hana does he get? He's the one, the son is giving over money for Kiddushin, he's not getting any benefit. And still we said that whatever that he gives over to his son is a good transaction. And it's going to be acquired even with the words. Right? The fact that there's a benefit that their children are getting married to each other. That's already the benefit. And because of that benefit, that's already enough that they are already gomeru makne. They come and they finish the acquisition, even though there's no true acquisition there. The fact that they just say it. Okay? So Amaleh Ravina Ravashi says Ravina to Ravashi, Dvarim alalu nitnu likatev, alu nitnu likatev. Says 1 second. Are you supposed to write it down or not? Which means, are you allowed to write down in a shtar all these things? How much the father is giving and the father bride is giving, how much the father Khatan is giving? Are you allowed to write that down or not? Amaleh, he tells them, Lo nitnu likatev. You should not write it. Okay? And even if they're written, it's completely different halakha. Right? But basically what we're saying is that you don't need to write it down. So yesterday we spoke about a case where what happens if a woman gets married to a man and she tells him, you want to get married to me? On condition that you have to give food to my daughter that came from another husband for 5 years. Then the Gemara says, the Mishnah said, what happens if now what happens is that they get divorced and she gets married to another man? And she does the same thing. So now the daughter is going to get double, 2 dips.
So
one husband, yes,
yeah,
it's still there because it was for 5 years. So he says the smart people, they used to write down. Yeah, so the smart people used to write down on condition I will give her to eat for 5 years as long as you're with me. Mm-hmm. Meaning as long as you're with me, I give her to eat. But if you're not with me anymore, that's it, Kaddish. So therefore, those were the smart people. That's what they were writing. So it says, what does it mean then? Kotvim, they used to write. Omrim, they used to say it. Right? So what? He says what? Is Amira Ktiva? Meaning there, we said that they had to write it down. 1 second, why are you writing it down? It's enough just to say it. And it says, yes. But now we learned in a Mishnah, even though it's written, right, a kotev liishto, writing it to your wife, really the same halacha would apply to saying it to your wife. It's the exact same halacha. Because these are things you don't have to write it down. It's enough just to say it. So Tashema, we're going to try to bring another proof then. You never write a document of Erusin or Nisuin unless both of them agree. Right? Hamidat Shneim, but it's much more if they both agree. Kotvin, you do write it. My love, are we not talking about Lishtare Psikta, like these documents? And basically I'm saying how much am I putting into the marriage, how much are you putting into the marriage, so on and so forth. And it says, no, Shtere Rusim Mamash, like an engagement documents. Like Rav Papa and Rav Shravia, the Amru Bezei said, Itman, Katvu Lishma, if they wrote a Shtare Rusim for her, but without her knowledge, Rabbi she's married. The Papa Rav Shravia says that she's not married. So Tashma, we're going to try to bring now another proof. Metu, what happens now if the husband's died? It comes out like this. Again, one more time. What was the case of the Mishnah? A man gets married to a woman. In order for him to get married to her, she obligates him to come and to write him that for 5 years he's going to give money to the daughter. Now he dies. The guy's own daughters, right, will only get what? Will only be able to take from Nechasim B'nei Chorim. But the other ones are going to be taking from Nechasim, meaning this daughter, this one, the daughter of the wife, is going to be taking from Nechasim Shubadim. She's like a Balat Chov. She's like a debt. There's a debt against her. His own daughters is not. I mean, she has more power. She's more power than his own daughters because of what happened in this document. Okay? So we just said that she has a better power than the own daughters. So says what are you talking about? That they did make an acquisition. So since they made an acquisition, it's going to be okay. So banot nam. So also the daughters also she collects from the Nechasim Shuvadim. Why else is it her daughter and not his own daughters? So answers which means they only made like an acquisition with a din for the daughter of the wife, but not for his own daughters. So what exactly is this psak of the Chachamim? So the daughter of the wife that she was during the time of the Kinyan, Mehani le Kinyan, helps Kinyan, but not, but his own daughters, that they weren't at the time of the Kinyan, Lo Mehani le Kinyan does not help Kinyan, because his own daughters were not alive at the time. They only came afterwards. So since they came afterwards, that's why it's a completely different halacha.
But if they were here, if they were alive,
then it would, it would help, obviously. But the thing is, it's impossible for them to, because his own daughters are not. They don't. It doesn't happen.
Can you make a start that he will?
We're not talking about them that they were also at the time of the Kinyan. So what's the case? He divorced the wife after he had his own daughters, and he got married to her again. Let's say a guy gets married. At the time of the Kinyan there, for sure, there's no daughters. There's nothing there. He didn't have children yet. Okay, we're talking about like normal, marriages. Right? Yeah, normal marriages, right? There's wedlock and okay. They have the children after the marriage, not previous, right? What happens is, at the time, there's no problem. Okay, he divorces her. He takes her back. When he takes her back the second time, the daughters are already b'shata Kinyan. Because when he takes her back, you have the ketubah, and then you have it there, right? So it's, you understand, meaning that the second time around, if he takes her back, so then it makes sense. Back. But rather, the daughter of the wife, which is not on the T'nai Beti Mani Lakinyan, and helps a Kinyan. The daughters themselves that they are in a T'nai Beti Lo Mani Kinyan, which means like this. Basically, what's happening is that he doesn't have to support his wife's, meaning a future wife's daughter. So there's no T'nai Beti on that. So when he makes a kinyan on that, it actually helps. But the opposite way around, which means when he's going now to his own daughters, there is a T'nai Beti. So since it's a T'nai Beti, to make a kinyan on the T'nai Beti does not help. So it says the Gemara, migra guy, it makes it worse. I don't understand. It should be better than you, because you have a T'nai Beti plus a kinyan. So answers the Gemara, the reason why even the T'nai Beti, since you have T'nai Beti, they just grabbed the money together, but not because Bemet, it's already that Bemet he has a kinyan. So that's why it doesn't help. Okay, the two dots. Lo Yomar Rishon, the first one should not say, meaning what happens now if you have the two husbands? Remember, two husbands. First husband, he went and he obligated for 5 years. She divorced him. Then there's a second husband, the exact same thing. So the first husband could not come and say, you know what, when she comes to me, I'll give her to eat. He can't say that. Amar Chasta says of Chasta. So to Meret Batet Tzilima, you see from here that the daughter always goes to the mother. That's what you see from here. Why? Because he's not saying that she should come to me. She always goes by the mother. So daughter always goes to the mother. So says the Gemara, whoever told you we're talking about a big girl, maybe we're talking about a little girl. Because of the story that happened. The Tanya was we learned in a Braita. If somebody passes away and he left a small boy to his mother, the inheritors of the father say that he should grow up by us, and the mother says he should grow up by me. We always give it to the mother. We don't give it to the. That means basically there's a question: who gets the custody of the child? Is it the inheritors of the husband, or is it the mother? It's obviously the mother. And there was a story why, because they went and they slaughtered him, right? They slaughtered him on the first night. Meaning when he went, why? Because you see, because they didn't want him to take away from the Yerusha. So because of that, they went and they killed him. So they went and they killed this boy in order that he doesn't take away from the Yerusha. In Ken, if so, litzni lemakom shehi, right? The place where she is. Right? And then we already know that it doesn't matter where it is, whether it's going to be in the house of the brothers or the house of the mother. So says Gemara, we're just going to finish until the 2 dots. What does it mean lemkom she'ima? It doesn't matter whether it's ktana or a gdola. Okay, we continue with Zat Hashem.
He's super